What is acupuncture? How does it work? And what has it got to do with stress? How can it help you reduce yours? So I'm talking today with Bernie Nolan, who's based in Mallorca. And he's a very experienced acupuncturist, and he's going to help us today to unravel that mystery. But first of all, I'm going to speak to Bernie about what is it that stresses him out on a day-to-day basis.
Very little stresses me out, really, because I have a really nice life. But things like an unexpected bill, things like that stress me out, thinking, because I'm not a millionaire, nowhere near, but so things like that stress me out. And so what do I do about it? The actual physicalness of the stress, how does it affect you? I have like techniques that kind of calm me down. I used to do all the breathing things as well. But one of the things that really helps me is this is an acupuncture thing, and I'll explain later, that I press the tips of your fingers. So with the index curled and the thumb, just pressing on the fingertips.
You want to show, because we can't see.
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, see now, yeah, okay. So like that. So, but it's a really good press. You've got to feel it.
Yeah.
For about 3 or 4 seconds.
Yeah.
And as you're going through your fingers, on both hands as well, as you're going through your fingers, one will feel a bit more tender, but relieving at the same time. You know, that painful but nice kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that's the one that will help you the most.
Right.
Now, anyway, I can explain. So that's a nice technique, but don't rush it. And just breathe calmly.
Because you started with your index finger and then you moved to the others, and then you said both hands. So is it starting there?
Let's start with the thumb. It doesn't really matter as long as you go through the 5.
Right.
Before using the thumb. And like that, just a nice, but it's like a nice crescendo of pressure, if you like. But it's got to be, you've got to be able to feel it.
Yeah.
And there'll be 1, maybe 2 that feel a bit nicer to be squeezed than others.
Yeah.
And sometimes if you're trying to calm yourself down, the actual feeling there, because you're giving yourself a little bit of pain, but it's also relieving at the same time. And it will make you feel a lot more relaxed.
Yeah.
It's trying to take your mind off the worry, the anxiety of everything.
Yeah. And just coming to the practical aspects of what you were talking about, things like sometimes we have an unexpected bill, which is to do with a repair that we weren't expecting. But sometimes the bills we could predict, but we just don't think about it until it lands on the doormat. So things like having a schedule of the year and what bill comes in when, and just making sure that you're aware of it in advance. But the unexpected ones is making sure that you're putting a little money away each month to make sure that you've got a reservoir of funds available to deal with unexpected things, like your car broke down, or for me recently, my tire. I seem to go through tires like nobody's business. You think I was Lewis Hamilton or something. So little things like that can really, really help.
Yeah, you're giving yourself away a bit there. No.
Sorry?
You're giving your driving skills away.
Yeah, I think not, because I think he's known as a good driver, and I don't think that could be said of me. Anyway, so you kind of did a segue already into acupuncture, because I suspect these are acupressure points.
Well, acupuncture and pressure points, yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk about what is acupuncture.
Well, acupuncture is a form of medicine, obviously holistic. In Chinese medicine, which I studied many, many years ago, we've got acupuncture, herbal medicine, and shiatsu, or anma, as you say in China, which is acupressure. So those 3 make up Chinese medicine. Acupuncture is an integral part of that, the most integral part, I should imagine. And so what it is, it's an energetic form of medicine. So within the body, you've got 12 lines of energy, each one pertaining to a specific organ or function. So you've got the large intestine coming from the index finger up onto your face. You've got small intestine, pericardium, heart, etc. And it's like one of those old-fashioned pipes in the house, central heating pipes where it's coming up, water's coming up and down and whatever. So a nice even flow of this in this circuit of energy is good health, basically. A blockage will then manifest into many, many different things, depending where the blockage is. And acupuncture, the needles, are the tools by which we unblock these blockages or redirect the energy from where it's blocked, etc. It gets very complex from there, but in a nutshell, that is it.
That's really good. So the energy lines are the meridians?
Meridians, yeah.
And so how does somebody get blocked?
Get blocked. Well, you could
from an acupuncture perspective.
No, it's quite easy. You can block your energies by falling down, banging your head against a wall or whatever, let's say an injury. That's easy. But also we can get blocked by our thoughts, by our tensions, by stress. And you can get blocked anyway. So that's why in Oriental medicine, we actually say, okay, so what have you come for? I've got migraine. Okay, how long have you had it? Blah, blah, blah. 5 years, and it comes regularly every 2 weeks or before my period or whatever. And so then we go from there. So we're working out what type of a migraine it is. Okay, there's different causes. It could be food induced. It could be gynecologically induced. It could be stress induced. Many different things. So there's different ways of treating each one. So we've got to, fine tune what the actual diagnosis is and go from there. Is that okay?
Yeah. So a problem, how can I word it? So what I love about what you said, or what is really intriguing about what you said, is what type of migraine. So from the man on the street, a migraine is a migraine is a migraine. But what you're saying is actually, no, that's not true. And you have to really understand the type of migraine to then come up with the correct, do you call it a protocol?
Well, yeah, a treatment plan, yeah.
Treatment plan.
Protocol, yeah. And so, I mean, you can have 3 people all suffering from migraines, and each migraine will be different from the next. So why give them the same medicine? Yeah. So we have to treat each one differently.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be migraine. It can be anything.
Of course.
Recurring back pain or headache. Well, headache is a migraine. Skin conditions. All those kind of things that are treatable with acupuncture, but we have to understand. And also, in acupuncture, looking at the body is very different from a Western point of view. Sometimes,
absolutely, yeah.
So I mean, I can just go off at different tangents, so you have to stop me. So
I'm stopping you. That was a joke. Sorry. Sometimes my sense of humour needs a bit of a warning.
I need stopping. Don't worry.
So some of those things that you talked about there, I know to be related to stress, or can be related, like migraine is often related to stress. But how does acupuncture help directly with stress?
With stress? Well, first of all, I don't actually like the word stress, because that ruined your interview. No, because you think, well, one person's stress is very different from another person's, or the cause of stress.
Yeah.
So I prefer to talk about how it physically affects that person.
Yeah.
So if we just go back to skin conditions or whatever, eczema, psoriasis, those kind of things. And a lot of those are stress induced, but it affects the skin. How does it do this? Bear with me. So the skin, for example, what occurs on the skin in Oriental medicine comes from the lungs. So whatever's going on in the lungs affects the skin, and the lungs and the large intestine are very closely associated. So if someone comes with eczema, for example, how long have you had it? Where is it? Blah, blah, blah. And do you also, because we know that it's related to the lungs and so we say, have you ever had asthma? oh, well, I used to have asthma, but that's okay now. But when I'm under stress, when something affects me, you know, my asthma flares up and so does my skin. So it's something that's affecting the lungs, which in turn affect the skin. And then, I mean, we could go on about bowel movements, but maybe now's not the time. But it does affect IBS. Yeah. IBS is a big, yeah. You know, so all these things are stress induced, but people can't see it. No. They just think it's something they've got. Yeah. And they might be, with IBS, they might be under medication for years and years, but all it's doing is dulling it down, yeah. Curing.
Suppressing the symptoms. I treat a lot of IBS as well. And I do things like look at food intolerances, and people always want the magic food that will cure their IBS. But 9 times out of 10, it's nothing to do with the foods, but everything to do with other stuff. Yeah. So I've looked at Chinese medicine as well, not as in depth as you, but it was part of my course, and all of the body systems are linked, aren't they?
Oh yeah, very much so.
Yeah. So even lungs is about grief.
Yeah.
Isn't it? So sometimes you can
lung, large intestine about grief. Yeah.
Yeah. So okay. So so you would be looking at the physical manifestation of the stressor rather than the emotional manifestation.
Yeah, but we'll start with the physical. That's how it is. Yeah. And we're thinking grief, but it's also, the lungs and large intestine is all about the emotion, is all about the ability or inability to let go of emotion. So how do you grieve? So, so sometimes you'll say, well, how long have you had this skin lung problem? And they'll say, oh, it began just after my mum died or whatever, so many years ago. So you think, right, okay, so that's the link, you know. So it began then, and it's affected the lung, large intestine system, but now it's onto the skin. So we start working on the lungs and large intestine, which will in turn affect the skin. And that's basically, in a nutshell, how we work with acupuncture.
Yeah.
If I can just give you another example, is that okay?
Sure, yeah.
I work a lot on acupuncture for infertility, and I always treat the couple, have really good success with it. But what amazes me is that people don't realize, a lot of people don't realize that they're not infertile until they've been trying for at least 18 months. People say, well, we've been trying for 6 months. I said, well, yeah, no problem, carry on. And, you know, but it's amazing. And also from a female point of view in pregnancy, stress plays a massive part. Yeah. And it's like, I should be pregnant by now. No, you shouldn't. It's just your body. How it, you know, and we go through lots of different procedures. Well, you know, we go through different diagnostic techniques and work out why. And I mean, this is one of my favorite subjects, but I've helped loads of people, but a lot of the time it's stress, because I treat people for 3 months, and I say, this is for infertility. During this time, don't even think about getting pregnant. Yes, you can have sex. Are we okay with this? And
going out after 9 o'clock, we're fine.
Okay, yeah.
That was another one of those jokes.
Yeah, you can still do it, but you know, don't think about getting pregnant. And so immediately that turns their mind off, thinking, oh right, you know,
takes the pressure off.
Not calling my husband back from work, it's time.
Yeah, because people get very, very angsty about it. It becomes a performance pressure.
Oh yeah.
Rather than, okay. And so this thing is just the acupressure point. So that's a good tip for people who are stressed out.
Very slowly, not that quickly, very slowly, lots of pressure. That will help calm you down.
Great.
And also I use it with the, you know, belly breathing that you will know all about, the breathing techniques. Yeah. And it does work, and it works quite quickly. Yeah. I do that sometimes if I go to bed with a headache, and sometimes if you get dehydrated.
Yeah, which I am still, yeah.
Yeah, carry on with the water. that can give you a headache. So I do this, and I do the breathing into your belly and then releasing slowly, etc. So that works a treat. There's lots of, like, pressing the top of your head is a great one as well, right? It's very,
where all the meridian points end, isn't it?
yeah, but right on the top.
Yeah.
And it's quite sore, but that is great for certain types of headaches, people with high blood pressure, things like that.
All right.
Yeah. It's just massaging it away, just knead it away. And it feels sore, but it feels nice at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good tip. Thank you.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people are very nervous about needles. I don't know if anybody isn't actually. Does it hurt?
No, it doesn't. I mean, there's different ways. It's like if you go and have an injection from 2 nurses, one might be a bit nervous and it will hurt, and the other isn't, and you hardly feel the thing. With acupuncture, we use this as a tube. I've actually not got a needle with me. And so you just flick it through, and just, if it's going to hurt, it's when it breaks the skin. So if you make that very fast, get it over quickly, it will go in much easier. Obviously, the more fleshier parts of the body, the glutes, the hamstrings, and all that area, it's very easy, and meteor arms, and I've got. But then around the wrist, you can feel it a little bit more because there's not enough flesh. But yes, should I say, it doesn't hurt.
I have actually had acupuncture. I can't remember what it was for, to be honest with you, but I have had it, and it doesn't, I don't like needles. Who does? And it didn't hurt. And you've got them all over the place, haven't you? And you're just sitting there with needles in you, and it just seems so odd.
Half of it is you looking at that needle going in. So if
absolutely,
you first of all don't look, you've got rid of half of it,
Okay, that's really, really helpful. Thank you so much. Now, I always ask my guests if there is a book that they have read that has been inspiring or useful, that might be useful to someone else. And I think you've got one in mind, haven't you?
Yes, I have. It's a book called If You Fall by Karen Dark. She was on your program a few weeks ago.
She was, yeah.
And she's a great inspiration to me. And her book is very inspiring about how she had an accident. She's now paraplegic, but she's gone on to do many, many other things in life. So it's If You Fall by Karen Dark, and I think you can get it from Amazon. And that is one book that inspires you, but many other books as well that I can't even remember the name.
So many, yeah, millions and millions. So that's about, is that about kind of overcoming adversity or mindset? Or?
It's like, you can imagine, she was 21, she had this climbing accident, broke, I forget which vertebra, but basically she can only now use her arms, head and neck. But since then, I mean, the first thing is like, what am I going to do? And there's 2 ways you can go, up or down.
Yeah.
Mine with that. And she obviously went up very gradually over the years.
Yeah.
And then, within she got a silver in the paraplegic games in Olympics in London, gold in Brazil. But that's not, she doesn't think they're the best things she's done. She's climbed, what's the mountain? El Capitan in California, which is like a 2-mile rock, and in a wheelchair, somebody hoisting her up.
Crikey.
Yeah, that's what I thought. And other things, she's cycled in her recumbent bike the length and breadth of Japan. She's canoed across I forget the name of the straits, from Canada to Alaska, and loads of things.
Makes me feel a little bit lazy.
It makes me feel lazy. Hopeless. But anyway, inspiring.
Inspiring. It sounds like a really good read. Thank you so much, Bernie. I do hope that everybody has enjoyed this talk as much as I have. If you have, do please maybe put a comment below. It'd be nice to know what you think, and if you've got any tips to share as well. And also, if you could share it, you never know who might benefit from this. Thank you so much.